Okay, I'm just going to be ranting a little bit um, about free speech, about the Enlightenment, about woke, critical social justice, whatever you want to call it. Just saw it today. Netflix and Hulu are removing a community episode about advanced Dungeons and Dragons because one of the characters is apparently in blackface. Now, the character in the show is played by Ken Jeong. I don't know if in season two, if he's still a professor, if he's a student at that point. Character's name is Chang, Ben Chang. He's playing Dungeons and Dragons. His character's a drow elf. If you know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, drow elves are dark elves, and they're black. They're fictional characters. They're fantasy. They don't exist in reality. There is no race. So the character Ben Chang playing a drow elf paints himself black and jet black, not just a Trudeau shoe polish black, but jet black. Um, and in the show itself, they address it how racist that is, and but he says it's a fictional character. It's true. It's a fantasy character. These things don't exist. It's ludicrous. But this thing to pull the episodes, so Netflix won't show it, Hulu won't show it. But like the thing isn't racist. They're not picking on a race. They're not picking on anyone. It's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, there's been so much of this going on, and I only have to go back maybe. I can give so many examples from 2015 on, for all kinds of reasons. Uh, 2015, there was a art exhibit in London called The Passions for Freedom. One of the artists had a series of paintings that she'd done, and they had to be pulled because of security reasons, because the paintings were called Mises, and it was just woodland creatures having different family and community gatherings. So there were sporting events, people on the beach, classroom, and in the background there was always mice dressed up as ISIS walking up on the scene as like a encroaching threat. The artist was from the Middle East. They had to pull it because of security reasons. Also, 2015 was Charlie Hebdo. Um, for drawing pictures of Muhammad. Someone, a couple of people came in, shot up 12 people, killed 12 people because of an insult to their prophet. I mean, you've had in Italy, they covered up artwork because Arab dignitaries were coming and you didn't want to offend them. But it's art. Same time in London, you had an art gallery taking away a picture of some nudes, and then there was an uproar, and thankfully they put it back, but they said, oh, it was just to raise a conversation about sexism. You know, they want to cancel Gauguin, and I don't know how many other artists. I think Cézanne is also problematic. It's not just so much a question of, okay, with all these artists, they're taking them away, so they're denying everyone else the right to see it, and the right to decide, and the right to choose. But all the new stuff that's coming out as well that they don't even want published. They don't want. They are deciding for you what you can read, and people are going to say, yes, well, publishing houses have always done this, but now they're doing it based on what their morality is. Put on a show, no one watches it, take it off. That makes sense. But you're not even given the choice anymore. Um, this is the worst part of censorship. You don't have the right to choose anymore. It's not, whatever. YouTube takes away my channel. I don't care. It's gone. Um, but if someone liked what I was saying and they wanted to listen to it, now they don't have they don't have a choice. In this is the free speech argument. It's not my right to blab. It's not your right to blab. That is important, and no one should stop it. But when someone stopped from speaking, if you go to see someone speak and they're stopped from speaking, it's not their rights that are being taken away that's egregious. It's your rights, it's your choice. And I mean, this woke stuff is anti-enlightenment. They say it straight out. You can go back to some of the precursors of it. Go back to postmodernism. Foucault says it straight out. It's science and reason, objectivity. They're all different ways of knowing, and their power balances. You can go forward in that. You can, Audre Lorde's paper in '78, the Master's Tools. It's talking about capitalism, but that comes out of like a materialistic idea where capitalism is born out of the Enlightenment, is born out of white people, so it's bad because it's white. I guess if black people had started capitalism, it would have been a good thing. I don't know. It would have been noble. I have no idea. But it's a very essentializing way of looking at everything, and it's all about what you can see and what you can read. I mean, Kimberly Crenshaw, said it. Where did she say this? The embrace of identity politics, however, has been in tension with dominant conception of social justice. Race, gender, and other identity categories are often most treated in mainstream liberal discourse as vestiges of bias or domination. I mean, she says it straight out. Liberal discourse, the Enlightenment, we were getting away from racial bias. We weren't putting any social significance on it. We weren't putting any significance on that towards whether you get a job, whether you go to school, whether you get a house, any of that. And you can see that ethic played out. You can see it played out in the United States. It's like, I guess the best example of this. It's the first and only country that had the Constitution based solely on the Enlightenment, as far as I can tell. So yes, founding fathers had slaves. It's not a defense of them; it's a defense of the ideas. 100 years after the 1776, America was founded. 1865, the Civil War is over. So less than 90 years after, slavery, a war to end slavery was fought, and slavery was ended. A few years after that, the Jim Crow laws came in, and that was another 90 years. And over the course of 90 years, all those laws got taken away. And again, this was because they were looking at these ideas, and they were using these ideas to advance. Some of this stuff came out in the 1600s. Even though the core ideas were good, these people were still, as far as we could say, they were backward thinkers. Science was just starting out. Just because Francis Bacon came up with wrote up some rules for methodology in the 1600s doesn't mean that everyone was following it. So you had some stupid ideas about race, stupid ideas about genetics, even though they didn't call it that, and stupid ideas about a lot of things. But as the methodology got refined, as dialogue got refined, things started getting better. And then by the end of the 60s, I believe in the United States, every legal impediment had been gone. And then if you look from there to the end of the 90s, and I use that as a very specific date, in that 30-year span, you'd gotten to the point where there were black families that were arguing against an estate tax because there were black families that had large enough wealth to pass down that they didn't want their heirs to pay taxes on. Things had gotten better. We had gotten to the point where we weren't looking for race. And in the late 90s, this stuff started coming in. Critical race theory, intersectionality, queer theory, gender studies. It started coming into, it got out of the university, started coming into HRs, but mainly into administrations and universities. I think it had been in the administrations and universities for a little bit, but it started getting more solid. But then it started coming into HRs and government. It started coming into government to make policy on race. And look where we are now, in about 22 to 25 years. Things are worse now than they were when this stuff started coming in. And this is all about control language. I mean, so that thing from about community, it's like I said, I just want to talk about free speech. So I'm going to quote a couple of things from probably some of the best, like the two best texts on free speech. And this one's from On Liberty by John Stuart Mill. The peculiar evil of silencing the expression of an opinion is that it is robbing the human race, posterity, as well as the existing generation, those who dissent from the opinion, still more those who hold it. If the opinion is right, they are deprived of the opportunity of exchanging error for truth. If wrong, they lose. What is almost as great a benefit, the clearer the perception, livelier impression of truth produced by its collision with error. I mean, you want to watch. I should say you want to watch it. If someone wants to watch it, they should be able to watch it. If you disagree with it, come out with something else. I'm doing a YouTube video. Do a YouTube video. Why you think that's wrong? Get people to stop watching it. Maybe they'll never watch that episode again, so they'll never air it because it never gets a viewer. But I can at least still go buy it. It's the same thing that's coming out of. Came out in the South in the 50s and the 60s, and in the 80s. They wanted to ban books like Huck Finn and Moby Dick, because they had bad words in them. Now the progressive side wants to do that. It's Minnesota, I believe, they don't want it in the schools. They don't want Huck Finn in the schools. And why? Because it has a bad word in it. But you need that word in the book. Okay. Huck travels with Nigger Jim. You cannot change that to N-word Jim. And from my reading of Huck Finn, Huck is America in its adolescence coming of age. Slavery had ended. The war had been fought. Slavery had ended. Huck realizes in the book that Jim is human just like him. He hears Jim crying about his family and missing his family, and he wants to get back to them. So Huck hears that. And if you change it to N-word Jim, you lose it. It loses all of that. And people are just bending over. I mean, HBO Max took away Gone with the Wind. And then it comes out afterwards that the woman, the actress, was the first black woman to win an Oscar. So I mean, they're destroying that history. Only people of the right color can wear it. Here, this is another quote from Areopagitica, and this was written in the 1600s by Milton. I fear yet this iron yoke of outward conformity hath left a slavish print upon our necks, the ghost of a linen decency yet haunts us. I mean, it's, and this is another one. And what do they tell us vainly of new opinions, when this very opinion of theirs, that none must be heard but whom they like, is the worst and newest opinion of all others, and is the chief cause why sects and schisms do so much abound. The true knowledge is kept at a distance from us, besides yet a greater danger which is in it. I mean, this is critical race theory. This is intersectionality. They tell you don't read these things. They tell you what not to read. They tell you what you shouldn't read. They tell you only look at this stuff. It's religion. It's Thomas More burning Christians who have Bible in English. If you like the wrong tweet, you can get fired. And it's happening more and more. 150 somewhat people wrote a letter, and now all of a sudden there's 100 other letters opposing that one letter, because in that letter people said people shouldn't be fired for their opinions. I don't know. The Enlightenment and free speech, the scientific method. I mean, if you want to not get into a physical altercation, arguing your points back and forth and having an honest discussion is the only way to come to an agreement. The scientific method, yeah, science has made tons of mistakes, but the method is self-correcting. There is no method like that in critical race theory. The two things, enlightenment and woke, are non-overlapping magisteria. The two things just do not mix. If you say you're for the enlightenment, I don't see how you can say you're for woke, critical race theory, intersectionality, queer theory, any of that stuff. I don't see how you can be for one and the other. They just two don't mix. Critical race theory is, or critical social justice is dogmatic. It is firm, it's fixed. There's only one way of looking at something. The conclusion is already decided. And they're telling you straight out. I'm insulted. I'm insulted because I'm told that because I'm brown, that science, reason, and logic aren't for me. That objectivity isn't for me. But they don't want an individual. They want a group. They look at a group identity, and they don't care about the individual. I myself, I'm a part of many different groups, but I'm me. And that's the one thing with Enlightenment. It is the individual, and you have universal values that apply to everyone equally across the board. You don't treat anyone by any immutable characteristics. And critical race theory is just pure racism. It's saying that black people shouldn't act white. It tells you what things are white. It says that objectivity is whiteness. Praising the written word is whiteness. It tells you that being on time is whiteness. Objectivity is whiteness. I'm also told that because I'm a brown person, if I do well within the system, I am upholding white supremacy, and I'm complicit in whiteness because I'm allowing the white person to give me a job and say, haha, see, we're not racist. And so that's their interest convergence, which comes from Derek Bell. But I'm complicit in it because I'm allowing them to do it, and I'm not letting a black person get the job. This stuff is divisive. And again, you can go back, look when this stuff started coming into government, when it started coming into schools, and it doesn't matter if it was Republican or Democrat in the States, conservative, liberal, right-wing, left-wing. These people are in civil service. Right now in the United States, you think, oh, I want to vote for Trump because he's going to get this stuff out of it. Your federal government is using this to train people. Okay? Your Congress has voted in a committee on anti-racism based on this crap. It's, like I said, Jonathan Haidt had talked about universities, whether they are for truth or they're for social justice, they have to choose. I think people have to choose at this point. And it's, are you for, the woke stuff, the critical social justice, or are you for the Enlightenment? Enlightenment is science, reason, logic, the stuff that has lifted up humanity and taken us, out of our solar system. It is grace to the Enlightenment and to those liberal values that we have probes that have left our solar system. And wokeness wants to tear it all down. That is the system of white supremacy that they want to tear down. They don't tell you what's going to replace it. They have nothing. That is a destructive, deconstructionist ideology. Enlightenment only has one thing. Actually, Jonathan Wright. Enlightenment only has. It's only one thing. It's every idea has the right to claim respect and earn it, and you debate the ideas, and those that win out are the ones we try, and some of those will be wrong, and we'll go back and we'll say, oh, sorry, that was wrong, we'll try something else. None of this woke stuff lets you do it. You have no choice. You have to follow it. And It's ridiculous. I mean, you're giving away the best tools. If you're saying that this is the way that you have to be anti-racist, and we have to find different ways for people like me, with people with more melanin in their skin, to learn and have different ways of knowing, like, no, fuck you. You're an incredibly racist person. It's centralizing beyond belief. And I mean, you see videos of white Antifa or BLM protesters, telling off police officers. There's one who's calling out Black Judas. I mean, I'm reading other places that brown and black police officers have internalized racism, and they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know their own mind. I mean, how insulting is that? Like, these people are supposed to be anti-racist. Take a look at the liberal ethic, and then take a look at this woke critical social justice ethic. If you say you're for the Enlightenment, if you say you're for humanism, if you say you're for any of these things, you can't. I mean, this stuff is the oldest hatred. It's You can see the anti-Semitism coming out of this right now as well. I'm sorry, I'm just ranting a lot here. Again, this comes out of some of the materialistic stuff, because capitalism is whiteness. Then a lot of this woke stuff came out of Black Power, which has connections to the Nation of Islam. This is no, not all, whatever, but BLM has a lot of connections with the Nation of Islam. And Nation of Islam has their own little thing with melanin science, how melanin makes people smarter and white people are less than human. You can look all into that. That's more vile, disgusting racism. But this is the I mean, you'll see stuff that original Jews were black, European Jews are white. They have whiteness on them. People talking about, oh, it's just property. Property is whiteness. Jews own property. Like, other people don't own property. Synagogues got destroyed. Oh, well, Jews were responsible for the slave trade. No talk of Islam. Islam was. I mean, they still have slaves in North Africa because of Islam. Thank you very much. It's a complete distortion of facts. They don't know their own history. The stuff they want to destroy was what built up the stuff that they believe. If they destroy that, they're destroying their own past as well. They have nothing. So again, make a choice. Do you want something that's truly freeing, that gives you the choice to pick and choose what you want? And like I said, if there's something you don't like, fine. Don't buy it. Convince your friends not to buy it. Start a campaign not to buy it. Right? Go ahead. But to get someone fired for liking it, to get someone fired for reading it, to get someone, ban schools from teaching it, anything like that, you're denying other people their right to choose. And that is a core of it. And then, again, from Milton, it's give me the liberty to know, to utter, and to argue according to conscience above all other liberties. It is that liberty to know. It's the most important thing. It's my choice to know. It's your choice to. And if you want to go with this woke stuff, I'm making an argument why it's bad. I'm not forcing anyone. I'm not do whatever I want to do, but you got to make a decision. I think at this point, you can't. It's not one or it's one or the other at this point. Like I said, they're non-overlapping magisteria, and I, for one, am going with the Enlightenment. That puts me at odds with you. I guess that puts me at odds with you, but I'm going for free speech. I'm going for the Enlightenment. I'm going to treat people like adults and let them decide what they think is fit for them to read. And we can all have a talk about it. We can all discuss it. But if you're going to try to impose that other stuff on me, then I will defend my freedoms. Then I will defend my values, and I won't let you impose your garbage way of thinking on me. And it's absolutely ludicrous. Again, like I said, Choose freedom. Choose life. I think you'll like it. Thanks.